Judge ready? Opponent ready? So quick off time roadmap, I am going to begin by defending my own points and then move on to refute against the points of the neg. Okay, so beginning with my first contention, which is that living wage protects life, the negative has refuted against this by saying that this would be that property is more important than life. I believe that this is how they refuted when they basically said that by protecting life we would not be protecting property. However, life is more important than property, because without life the right to property doesn't matter, because the people in question would be dead, so therefore the right to life trumps the right to property. And moving on to the my second contention, which is that the living wage protects liberty, the negative has refuted against this by saying that I do not uphold my core value. However, I don't see how this can be so, because I'm completely upholding my core value, which is the categorical imperative, which is basically stating that if something is viewed from a completely neutral standpoint, external of the situation, and it's viewed as just, then therefore it is just. And the negative has stated that my second contention violates this core value. However, I don't see how this is so, because it's basically stating that the living wage protects liberty, which is one of Locke's 3 natural rights, which has been declared as moral and just, as stated in my framework. So therefore it does not fall out of my core value. Moving on to my third contention, which is the food stamps are a violation of property, as they are property of the government and not of the holders. The negative has refuted against this by saying that this is again defying my value criterion. However, again, I don't see how this is the case, because it is defending the right to property, which is a part of my value criterion, is one of Locke's natural rights, and therefore this again does not fall outside of my core value. Moving on to the negatives points, starting with the value criterion, which is ontology, I don't see how ontology is even relevant to the question of the living wage. The negative has stated that the core value is societal welfare, and that this is quantified by ontology. However, they have also defined ontology as the state of being, and it's impossible to measure anything by a state of being. So therefore the value criterion doesn't make any sense. Moving on to the first contention, which is that no just government requires a living wage. The first subpoint dealt with property. However, this clashes with my own first contention. However, this clashes with my third contention, because basically a living wage would not be a violation of property. In fact, it would be enforcing the right to property, as stated in my third contention, because it would provide the people receiving the living wage with property. Moving on to the subpoint B, which is autonomous liberty of the businesses. Basically what the next is stating here is that autonomous liberty of businesses is more important than the right to life, as they have asserted that businesses should be in control of their money, but basically this would be a violation of the right to life to give businesses this liberty, as it would be depriving the employees of their basic physiological needs by the inability to have a sufficient amount of money to pay for physiological needs such as food, water, shelter, medicine, and so on. Moving on to the third point, which is that a living wage is impossible with a just government. The negative has failed to elaborate on this, and therefore I don't see how exactly it makes sense. How is a living wage impossible with a just government? This is not exactly clarified under the core value of societal welfare, which the negative has stated. And moving on to the second contention, which is the frontier of necessity, the negative has basically stated that the luxury of the few will become the luxury of all after time, which is the definition of the frontier of necessity. However, this does not even fall under the resolution, which it deals with living wages, and basically I don't see how the luxury of the few becoming the luxury of all even is relevant to the question of the living wage. Therefore, I see the affirmative side as making a much more coherent argument, and therefore it should be counted for this debate. Thank you.